All year, they've been working for this one moment, one game to continue a season. You win, your shot at glory lives for another day. You lose, and you pack your bags for the long ride home. For LSU, a win today gets them a shot at a 7th national championship. But for one of the winningest programs in college baseball, they'll have to beat a team that hasn't lost 2 straight games since last May. Oregon State has been the nation's best team all year, but now they must rebound from disappointment and beat a team that's won 19 of its last 20. 2 teams, 1 game to decide who plays on. Welcome to ESPN's coverage of the NCAA College World Series presented by Capital One. 2 red-hot teams meeting today. After today, the field will be set. We'll have 2 playing for a national championship. We start with LSU and Oregon State. Then later tonight, TCU and Florida to make it to the best of 3 on Monday. And with that, we welcome you. Hey, everybody. Tom Hart, Chris Burke alongside Kyle Peterson. These first 2 have already met twice. No strangers, LSU and Oregon State.
A little different story in each one, too. In Game 1, Oregon State comes in as the hottest team in the entire country. At that point, they had won 23 straight. They had done it twice this year, and KJ Harrison provided the power. His home run, grand slam, led to a 5-run inning. LSU gave up more runs in that game they had in any this year. Game 2, Mr. Lang showed up like he does in most big games for LSU. Now the math's pretty simple. You win today, you play Monday.
They have been the 2 best teams in college baseball for the most part here in the second half. LSU, the SEC champs. Oregon State, the Pac-12 champs, with the Pac-12 Player of the Year. No surprise he's playing well. LSU does have a surprise performer.
Yeah, they got a couple little guys in this game that can really go, boys. A couple guys after my own heart. Nick Madrigal, maybe the most exciting player in college baseball, the Pac-12 Player of the Year. First-team All-American. He can drive the ball. He can run the bases. And he can wreak havoc on the base pass. He can also beat you with the glove. One of the most talented middle infielders in America. This kid's a heck of a ball player. Zach Watson for LSU has been a bit of a surprise. He has led LSU in nearly every offensive category this postseason, more than doubling his home run total. He has been electric in the middle of that order. They're looking for another big day from him.
Both teams look loose right now. We'll see if that can continue, because the biggest challenge will be controlling the heart rate. For more on that, here's Mike Rooney.
Yeah, Tom, for a huge game like this, there's a million great cliches. Slow your heartbeat down. Go 1 pitch at a time. It's all great until you get here and your heart is beating out of your chest. Fortunately, these 2 clubs have skippers that have won this game before. Remember, Pat Casey won national titles at Oregon State in 2006 and 2007. Paul Maneri of LSU won a national title in 2009. So today is the day that these 2 clubs can rely on their skippers.
6th College World Series appearance for Maneri. He also brought Notre Dame here. At LSU, excellence is expected. And when they begin a season, they don't begin it with just designs on Omaha. They plan on winning the whole thing. To get there, they've got to knock Oregon State off. This one decides who plays for a national championship. LSU and Oregon State from Omaha. Beautiful day for baseball in Omaha, Nebraska. Why not play 2? Number 1 team in the country, Oregon State, against the number 4 national seed LSU, to decide who moves on to Game 1 of the championship series starting on Monday. It'll be TCU and Florida to decide the other side of the bracket later tonight. Kaleb Gilbert gets the ball for LSU. This is a spot that would have belonged to freshman Eric Walker, but he's out for the year with pain in his forearm and elbow. So it's Gilbert's turn, and he makes just his 5th start of the season out of Hoover High School, just outside of Birmingham, Alabama. 6'2" right-hander is 6-1 on the season with 60 strikeouts and 51 innings pitched, bouncing back and forth between the rotation and the bullpen.
His last 8 times out, he's been really good. 4-0 with a .47. Fastball can up to be 94. Slider back behind it. I think the question with Gilbert is, how long can his stuff hold? Longest outing of the year is 5 2/3 innings. If you're LSU, you would love to see him get at least 5 today and shorten the work that bullpen will have to do.
He hasn't made a start since May 24th in the SEC tournament in his hometown of Hoover, Alabama. That was against Missouri. He allowed 1 run over 5 innings. Facing Oregon State for the 2nd time in a week, Stephen Kwan, 2 games ago, started the game with a bunt for a base hit. Gilbert, the reliever, will pitch out of the stretch. Quan shows bunt and takes it upstairs. Got a color game today. Kind of looks like spring training with the orange jerseys for Oregon State and purple for LSU. But much more on the line today. Two hits this week for Stephen Quan. Both of them came in game one against LSU. First the bunt single, then he chopped a double down the line. And with the threat of the bunt, Josh Smith is well in front of the bag at third. Quan had been in the two-hole for much of the season, and they moved him into the leadoff spot late in the year, about the time the postseason began, swapping spots with Nick Madrigal. Madrigal, the best hitter in the Pac-12. The 1-2 pitch. Talking with Steven this week, he doesn't mind hitting with 2 strikes. One of the reasons he's willing to take an early one. How does his approach work?
He lets that ball get really, really deep. The exact kind of guy you want in a leadoff spot. You see right there, he is going to make the pitcher work for every strike that he gets. And it can be extremely annoying, KP, especially for the starting pitcher, a guy like this that's going to make you work right out of the gate.
Yeah, and then he fouls one off that you think you're going to get put in play. With guys like this, I always like to crowd them late because it felt like what they were trying to do was shoot the ball the other way. It's tougher to do that with a fastball in. That one, that fastball middle away, just works right into that bat path and what Quan is trying to do.
OSU leadoff men never got it going yesterday. Went 0 for 9 in the loss to LSU. Managed just 2 hits on the entire day. 2-2 from Gilbert. Got him looking.
A good day to run that fastball outside because this one looked like it was a little bit off the plate, and it absolutely was. Papierski has to go get it. He'll steal some now. Papierski is very, very good from back behind home plate, but that one's a good 4 inches outside. You will take that one if you're Kaleb Gilbert. Now you learned from it. Can you repeat it over the course of this ball game?
Home plate umpire today is Greg Street. Here's the Pac-12 Player of the Year, Nick Madrigal. And Gilbert starts him off with a breaking ball.
Watch your arm.
You can hear Greg Street already warning Nick Madrigal to watch your arm. Don't lean into one. Madrigal, as diverse an offensive player as you'll find. Led the Pac-12 in hitting and 5th in slugging. Into right field for out number 2. Let's take a look at our Capital One batting order for this Oregon State team, which is 56-5 on the season. They've won 23 of their last 24. Twice this season, the Beavers have won 23 in a row. That latest run snapped yesterday.
Mission accomplished right there for Kaleb Gilbert. Keep Quan and Madrigal off the base pass. If Larnach and Harrison are coming up with limited damage opportunities, you're winning.
Mike Rooney, what do you think of the strike zone?
Hey guys, Stephen Quan came into the dugout, told assistant coach Ryan Ortiz, hey, that's a strike off the plate away, and they spread the word right up and down the hitters lineup, so that's being communicated quickly down here.
Sign of a great leadoff man. Here's Trevor Larnach batting in the 3 spot for Oregon State, 4 for 11 here in Omaha with 6 runs driven in. One of the best run producers in the Pac-12 this season. Sophomore from Pleasant Hill, California.
Change up there from Gilbert. Won't see as many of those when he's in a relief role, but in his starter's role, especially facing left-handers, this Oregon State club will throw 5 of them at you today, including Rutschman, who's a switch hitter. He will need to throw that changeup more today.
You like how Papierski's getting almost into the ground there on that changeup. That's what you want.
Remember Charlie Green?
Sure.
Remember Charlie Green? Caught in the big leagues for a while. Real good catch and throw guy. Used to do that. He would get almost get small, and it felt like you knew exactly where you had to put it. Yeah, I think Papierski is a very, very good catch and throw guy.
That was a strike earlier, but not now. And the count full to Trevor Larnach.
That other one caught just the inside of the white line, and that one's in that same spot. A ball, and should have been called that way.
LSU fans ready. And so is their pitcher. Kaleb Gilbert puts the side down in order in the first inning with a trip to the championship series on the line. Of the first inning from TD Ameritrade in Omaha. Thought today coming into it that Drew Rasmussen would get the start for Oregon State, but Pat Casey decides to keep him in the bullpen for now, and instead it's Bryce Famil. Sophomore from Agoura Hills, California, was an All-American as a freshman last year, despite coming into Oregon State planning to be a middle infielder. Started out of the bullpen, turned into one of the most reliable starters. This season, not as easy. 6-2 with an ERA of 3.5 for Famil.
Yeah, most staffs, you would look at those numbers and say they're fine, but not with the best staff in the entire country. 4 pitches, and he does have plus command. We saw it the other day. For Famil, important to miss in the right place, because a fastball probably won't scare 90 miles an hour today. He had a very good start against LSU the first time out, though, but a lot of that was because balls were hit at guys. He only struck out 3, and the stuff is not swing and miss stuff. We thought we may see that guy. And I think we will see that guy at some point. Drew Rasmussen taken 31st overall, originally announced as a starter. Now it looks like we'll see him out of the bullpen later on today.
Kramer Robertson leads off for LSU. The top of the Tiger order has struggled, and Robertson turns that around with one swing of the bat. Maybe the key was just not hitting it as good as he had the last 3 at-bats. Lined that one to left, but left it short. And Mama Mulkey happy to get this one going.
Finally, Kramer finds a hole. He's been squaring balls up for the most part of this week, but has struggled to hit with any luck.
Here's a look at our Capital One batting order. The top 3 in this batting order for LSU were a combined 0 for 22 against Oregon State until that Robertson single.
This is an offense that can score in a hurry. And I think it's very key early for Famil to make sure that he's hitting the black of the plate. If it's over the white, LSU could put points up real quick.
LSU 10th in the country in runs scored. Here's Cole Freeman.
And if I was Paul Mainieri, I would be looking to hit and run right out of the gate. Maybe not the first pitch, but in this first at bat, I think you got a perfect matchup here with Robertson and Freeman, and a command guy on the mound. Really sets up good for a hit and run scenario.
Snap throw to first, and Kramer Robertson beat the throw. 2 pickoffs this season for Adley Rutschman, the freshman catcher, who's been fantastic defensively here on the national stage. LSU had no luck against him yesterday. They are 0 for 4 in stolen base attempts against Rutschman. So Famil going from the stretch after Robertson's leadoff single. Bryce Famil was fantastic in the Super Regional start against Vanderbilt. A complete game 5-hitter in which he struck out 10 and walked none, using just 104 pitches to do so. 6 of his innings he ended with a strikeout. And outside of Will Toffee for Vandy, the rest of the Vanderbilt lineup went 6 for 31 against him. Here's Rutschman. He got it. Cat-like quickness. I don't know that we've ever seen moves like this.
He keeps doing it. Every game we call, this young man's making SportsCenter top 10 plays from behind the dish on balls in the air. He just continues to amaze with his athleticism, the ability to get up and get out, and then the athleticism to finish.
I don't like the bunt. I don't like the bunt. I mean, it's a great play by Rutschman. It's as athletic a catcher as you'll see in the entire country, but I don't like the bunt. Not with the second guy of the ball game, not when you have an offense that can blow it open early.
Adley Rutschman is single-handedly shutting offenses down. Here's Antoine Duplantis to Madrigal. They get the lead runner Robertson at turn 2. Wow, a pair of web gems here in the first inning. First it was Rutschman, then one of the most talented duos in the middle infield for Oregon State.
Well, here was the hit and run we were waiting for. Kramer Robertson takes off on the first pitch. And how about the confidence in the defense from the Beavers to still go for the lead runner, Madrigal, to Grignr, to Harrison, and the Beavers get off the field.
The NCAA College World Series is presented by the Quicksilver Card from Capital One. Earn unlimited 1.5% cash back every purchase everywhere.
Brendan Bro showing off his dance moves. Glad those were still photos to get us ready for this one. Great color and pageantry here in Omaha. No score through one thanks to Adley Rutschman and then the talented middle infield. It was just a 4-pitch frame for Bryce Famil after allowing a leadoff single to Kramer Robertson. KJ Harrison leads off the second for Oregon State against Kaleb Gilbert. Harrison only has one hit this week, the third-round pick of the Brewers in last week's draft. Made that one hit count. It was a grand slam. Zach Watson handles it, one down. And now 17 straight Beaver batters retired by LSU, carrying over from the tail end of yesterday's game. They didn't seem too bothered by it around the cage today. A couple of them were bothered by that fire alarm that went off in the team hotel about 12:50 in the morning.
That was a good touch.
That was an effective fire alarm, I thought. My ears are still bleeding. Junior from Lake Oswego, Oregon, Jack Anderson, 3 hits. And a first pitch strike. There are some drowsy-eyed Beavers making their way down the hallway and all the way down to the hotel lobby last night before the alarm stopped. Nothing in 2.
You should have been in bed.
I was.
Oh.
I was. I don't know where you were at that point.
Prepping.
That's what you call it.
Yep.
You were very well prepared. 1 and 2.
So when you know you're getting off the edge, you've established that in the first inning. Hey, there's a little wiggle room. The approach going back out is just seeing how far you can stretch it out.
There. Absolutely. Go a little further. Then go a little further.
Is that a conversation that Alan Dunn has with Kaleb Gilbert between innings, or is that Papierski trying to get him to stretch it?
I think it's probably more Papierski. Well, I think it's a discussion between Alan Dunn and Papierski just to understand, okay, exactly how far out is that and how much further do you think that we could go?
Papierski has a great mind behind the plate. Yes. Coming out of Lamont High School in Illinois. He called every single pitch his senior year of high school. Alan Dunn calls the pitches for LSU. Played in this event back in 1983 with Alabama.
Two different signs right there from Alan Dunn. The first is he wanted to make sure that Gilbert shook his head no twice. So just to slow his pace down a little bit, and then after that was the actual pitch that they were going to call. Everything's numerical, so nobody can pick signs. But sometimes you just want to change the pace out there, make the hitter stay a little bit longer, force 2 shakes. It was quick. Papierski saw 2 times the fist went down side to side. That was just to get Gilbert to shake his head no.
Third strikeout for Kaleb Gilbert.
He's living there now.
Looking.
And all 3 in almost the exact same spot. Fastball on the outside part of the plate. All 3 times to lefties. So that arm side fastball early is the one that it looks like Gilbert has the most confidence in. And that one just stayed there. It looked like a 4-seamer. Papirski sat on the outside part. That's a strike, boys. How can you?
It's a strike.
It's a strike.
Yes,
it's absolutely a strike.
I just like how you look at me just to make sure.
That was the no, it's not retort look right there. It was.
Remind me, when's your anniversary? Tyler Malone at the plate. Okay, so if you're frustrated as a hitter, what adjustments do you make?
Well,
and how much do you change what you do?
You have to change with 2 strikes, no doubt about it. I thought Anderson missed some pitches to hit early in that bat. And it does add an extra element of difficulty once you get deep into a count, because now you're not quite sure where that edge is. And what you'll see a lot of guys do is when they know the umpire is giving off the outside corner, 2 strikes, they'll just crowd the plate and try to make sure they have a good feel for where that outside corner actually is.
Change up there. I think the one thing to watch too with Gilbert is you have to force him to throw a glove side fastball. You got to make him prove that he can throw that fastball on the glove side, because the fastball on the arm side, so away to the left-handed hitter, is one he's very comfortable with right now.
Yes, sir. 4 strikeouts for Kaleb Gilbert. He is wearing out the outer third of the plate and maybe then some. 19 straight Beavers retired by LSU pitching. It'll be Dykeman, Watson, and Smith for the Tigers. Well, a gorgeous day here in America's heartland. Just across the street from TD Ameritrade. No score between Oregon State and LSU. Winner sticks around to start the championship series Monday night. Greg Dykeman strides to the plate to start this second inning against Bryce Famil, who needed just 4 pitches to get through the first. Catcher and pitcher chatting on the LSU side. Dykeman can get into it. 19 home runs on the season. Junior from Metairie, Louisiana. And he lines this one towards right center, but Stephen Kwan is there. Mike Rooney, what do you got?
You know, guys, Oregon State's on the wrong side of the strike zone so far, but ironically for me, I think that really helps them, because Famil is a guy that has to pitch on the edges, and his stuff isn't nearly what Gilbert has. So if it's going to be a tight zone, I think that would favor LSU. This zone could come back and favor Oregon State later in this game.
Very interesting for Bryce Famil, because he came to Corvallis expected to contribute on the infield. Started in the bullpen as long relief, emerged as a starter late in the season last year, and finished the year 10-1 with 2 saves, a complete game win against UCLA, and an ERA of 2.3. Wasn't as easy going this season for Famil. Monday against LSU looked pretty easy. 8 innings, only 1 earned run.
He ate up a ton of innings for Oregon State too. When that game got out of hand, Famil just kept throwing strikes.
Red hot Zach Watson ignores the breaking ball, 2-0. Watson had great success against Famil, though, 2 for 3 with a home run.
Yeah, and this is the way it goes when you're red hot. It just feels like you fall out of bed 2-0.
Regardless of the fire alarm?
Regardless of the fire alarm. And Watson, you can see the respect they have for him. A 2-0 breaking ball right there. He has become a feared part of this batting order.
Batting .500 here in Omaha, leading the field in hits with 8. He's homered and doubled. 2-2. You've been watching Zach Watson play for a good chunk of the season. Did you see this power surge coming on like it had in postseason?
No, I had. If you'd have told me even in Hoover that he would have ended up with 9 home runs, I would have never guessed it. But he is really.
Had 4 then.
Yeah, he had 4, right? So 5 in the postseason. Very strong young man.
Flips one into shallow center. Stephen Kwan takes care of it. Two out for Josh Smith. We're going to talk a lot today about what's on the line in this single game, and make no mistake, both teams have designs on a national championship, and they need to win today to have a shot at it. But with the youth in both of these programs, don't be surprised to see them back in Omaha over the next couple of years.
What Oregon State has coming back next year is pretty scary. Kwan, Madrigal, Larnach, Anderson potentially, Malone, Rutschman, Grignr. Everybody coming back there.
And pieces from the #1 pitching staff in the country, a 1.86 ERA as a staff for Oregon State. This kid, Josh Smith, out of Catholic High School in Baton Rouge, will be the starting shortstop next year for LSU, playing at third this season.
1-2.
Paul Mainieri first saw him play as a freshman at Catholic when he was there to watch his son Tommy, part of the 2013 state championship team. And now 4 years later, he's starting in the College World Series for the 6-time national champions. 2-2.
Yeah, awfully impressive to run 3 freshmen out here in the College World Series for Paul Mainieri. He's had some really veteran clubs over the last 2-3 years, but this year some youngsters that you can see have very bright futures.
All 3 have homered here. Pretty good way to remember this place.
Good reason to want to come back.
You got Duplantis and Jordan, just sophomores. Of course, Bryce Jordan will be back, the twin brother of Bo, next year in the lineup. So, granted, you lose 2 of the greatest pitchers to ever put on the Tiger uniform, but certainly a future is very bright, as it always is in Baton Rouge.
Famil sails it high and wide. Full count now to Josh Smith. Catholic High School in Baton Rouge, same high school as the Nola brothers, Austin and Aaron. They did pretty well. Here's the 7th pitch of the AB, and it's a walk. 2-out pass for Smith, and that'll bring Bo Jordan to the plate.
Fastball command for Famil hasn't been great. The command of everything else has been pretty good. Breaking ball command has been good. We've seen a few changeups, but last 2 times just trying to throw that fastball on the outside part of the plate, and both of them really sailed.
Jordan, the junior out of Lake Charles, Louisiana, and Barbe High School. 3 home runs. Helped the scoring yesterday with a safety squeeze. Rutschman through the signs. If you've followed Famil over the course of this season, unable to replicate the high level of success that he had last year, you'll know that he's had a short leash with that inconsistency. And now when you got a guy like Rasmussen available behind him, you wonder just how short that leash would be.
And the chess game with Rasmussen is if you can shorten him up today. So if Oregon State can use him for 2 or 3 in advance, you're still going to have him for some part in the balance of the finals. If he started to win 5 or 6, that would have been it. That's it. You don't have him for the rest of the College World Series. And I think that was the balancing act for Oregon State is if Famil can steal 5 or 6 and we go Rasmussen on the back end and potentially have him at the end of the finals, that puts us in a much better position to win a national title.
Pat Casey's done it before, pair of national championships in 06 and 07. Oregon State in their 6th College World Series. In on the thumbs. They first made it to Omaha in 1952, just 2 years after the event moved to Omaha.
I think we get a pretty clear picture of where Rasmussen is on his trail back to being fully healthy by the fact that they don't feel comfortable starting him yet.
Well, I think they feel comfortable starting him. I think they don't feel comfortable bringing him back on short rest, which is right. I mean, they shouldn't.
But again, that shows us where he's at. That he's not back at 100% because that's a horse now. That's a big physical kid.
He's 15 months off. So I think it was the end of March last year. So he's about 15 months off. I appreciate the approach. I think it's healthy because he's got a chance to pitch for a while now.
Last year, Rasmussen made 6 starts before Tommy John surgery. And has been a team leader throughout his rehabilitation process as well. And he said one of the hardest working guys on the team, even despite the fact that he wasn't able to go out there and play in games. Ball in the strike to Jordan. And he yanks it down the line in left field. Jack Anderson will wait for it to get to him. Smith headed to third. And it's a 2-out double off the bat of Bo Jordan.
The bottom of this lineup just keeps getting it done. It's been a bit of a struggle early on in the Tiger lineup, but Smith with a 2-out walk, and now Jordan gets a breaking ball up around his shoulders, and barrel hooks this ball down the left field line. One of the earmarks of both of these clubs is you got to work for every out you get. Very talented hitters up and down each of these teams' batting orders.
And now Michael Papierski at the plate for LSU. First pitch strike. 2 hits today for the Tigers against Bryce Famil. They managed only 2 hits against him in their first meeting. Papierski 0 for 3. Ninth round pick of the Astros. He's homered once here in Omaha, one of 9 home runs on the season. Madrigal playing Papierski on the grass for the moment. They're playing him to pull on the right side of the infield. Checking with Mike Rooney.
Guys, they're getting a little impatient with the strike zone in the Beaver dugout. You got the frustration of 4 backwards Ks, and they know Famil needs the edges of the strike zone. There's some chirping going on down here.
2 pitches ago, did you have that one low, Berkey?
No, I just felt like that pitch is definitely a competitive strike, and I know it maybe faded a touchdown at the end, but it certainly was over the plate. And as Roon said, that's a pitch Famil needs.
Hitters count for Papierski, and that one's up and away. I think the difference between the 2 pitchers right now is when Famil generally misses, he misses big. It's been up and away a couple of times, and Gilbert has been near the strike zone.
The biggest thing for Famil today is he can't miss middle. If a bigger miss at this point is probably a better thing than a miss down the middle, just because the stuff is different than Kaleb Gilbert's.
Well hit. Deep right field. Larnach back. It is gone, and LSU's got a 3-run shot and an early lead.
When you got first base open in a championship type of game, and the last thing you can do, KP, as you said, miss in a good place for a hitter to get the barrel to it. And that right there was a big mistake in a hitter's count that really cost the Beavers.
Two-out rally for LSU. A walk, a double, then a 3-run jack from Papierski, his 10th home run of the year. And here's Jake Slaughter. That is a loose dugout on that side. Oregon State's going to populate the dugout here in the the bullpen here in the second inning.
Brandon Eisert's starting to move around down there. A little bit surprised it wasn't Drew Rasmussen. I think that There is no time too early at this point to bring Rasmussen in, because you cannot let the team in purple run away from you, because they can do that in a hurry.
Oregon State has only lost 5 times this season. 4 of those losses came when the opponents got the scoring started. Beavers have won 23 of 24 games. And there's strike 3 called on Slaughter. Michael Papierski got a 3-1 pitch and did what he wanted with it.
He sure did. A fastball up and right down Broadway. And he launches this ball in the right field seats. The Tigers have got the party started. 3-0 for the boys in purple.
Papierski was a pretty good high school quarterback, but he changed his mind, turned his attention over to baseball. Seems to be a pretty good decision, especially here in Omaha today. 3-run home run against Bryce Famil. If you had to do it over again and call the pitches, how would it be different?
I don't know why we're challenging in a 3-1 count with second and third and first base open with a right-handed hitting freshman on deck. I just think with the control guy like Famil on the mound, throw a changeup. If he swings, he swings. If not, move on and face the next guy. Yeah.
Junior from Lamont, Illinois. Papierski played high school football with Ethan Posick, who was an All-American center at LSU for Les Miles and Ed Orgeron. When he decided to quit the high school football team to focus on baseball, Posick sent him a text that was about 4 paragraphs long, trying to talk him into staying with the football team, extolling the virtues of being a football player and everything that could come with it. I don't know if Papierski still has the text, but it looks like he made the right decision. Posick ended up being a second-round pick of the Seahawks this year.
Switch hitting catcher that can really catch and throw, that has power. Not a bad thing to get into professional baseball.
And not a bad pick in the 9th round by the Astros. I think they're going to like that one.
Brettler sends this one into the seats. 0-1 to the Oregon State third baseman. Brettler's played all over the place for Oregon State this year. Couple of starts at first base for the Bonnie Lake, Washington native. That's when KJ Harrison was injured. Can hit anywhere in the lineup. And now makes his home at third base. Kaleb Gilbert has retired all 6 Beavers he's faced today. Diving stop, Smith, the freshman sidearms, 1 down.
Makes you feel pretty good if you got next year's shortstop playing third base right now, Berkey, because he has stolen some hits all the way through this College World Series.
I'm just really impressed by the freshmen for LSU. Slaughter, Watson, Smith, the athleticism to get there, the casual flip across the diamond. The moment's not too big for these kids. They continue to rise to the occasion. It's been awfully impressive to watch.
And the kid at the plate has been impressive to watch as well. Adley Rutschman, freshman from Sherwood, Oregon. Pac-12 honorable mention catcher. Defense has been outstanding. A little bit quiet at the plate, just 1 for 12. Wasn't planning on playing football at Oregon State, but made the team in the fall and won the job as a starting kicker.
He's ready. He is ready.
Rutschman comes from an athletic family. His grandpa Ad was a football and baseball head coach at Linfield College in a IA school. He's the only collegiate coach to win a national championship at any level in both baseball and football. Back home watching in Oregon. Tutored a young coach by the name of Mike Riley back in the day. Now Nebraska's head coach, and Riley showed some interest in Rutschman and coming to play football at Nebraska, but his high school football coach didn't tell him about it until he was already planning on going to Oregon State.
Home cooking to get him to stay close.
Great article in the local paper this morning, and Papirski to chat with Gilbert.
It might have been stay with me right here discussion right there. Papirski goes out. Gilbert may have shook a few times with something that either Alan Dunn really had some conviction with or Michael Papirski had some conviction with, and just to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Rally corn dogs or just corn dogs?
Never a bad time for either.
Palmineri looking for his second national championship.
And if you're Rutschman right here, you just have got to protect against that pitch. A very nice job there of making sure he's not going to leave this at bat in the umpire's hands. And KP, as the zone gets a little bit wider, don't you think that then opens up some space inside if you want to go in there?
Yeah, especially with the slider. Gilbert has not shown the ability to really control that one yet. That's a very good pitch. They missed a tick down, but that's a pretty good spot to miss right there for Gilbert.
Their chance Papirski made that look better than it was.
He generally does. It's not outside. That's a pretty good pitch. Borderline, it's close.
This will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat. Of all the strikes to call, that one gets him rung up. It is the 5th K for Kaleb Gilbert. All 5 have come with the Beavers looking.
Well, the last one was close, but this one really wasn't. And if you're Adley Rutschman, you've got a legitimate gripe with home plate umpire Greg Street, and that's going to be interesting for the catcher. You can see just how far off the plate this one is, folks. That's almost in the other batter's box. And I know he missed a close one the pitch before, but you can't make it up with one that's way outside on the next one, and you know the catcher Rutschman is extremely disappointed with that result.
This is Caden Grignr at the plate now.
There's 5 left-handers in his lineup for Oregon State today, including Rutschman, who's a switch hitter. All 5 have struck out. All 5 have struck out looking on almost the exact same pitch. Fastballs on the outside part of the plate.
To Dykeman in right, and Kaleb Gilbert goes through the order one time. Perfect. First pitcher at this College World Series to retire the first 9. And the top of the order due up for Tigers. They'll try to get it going. Well, Adley Rutschman, the freshman catcher, got called out on strikes when he was at the plate in the Oregon State half of the 3rd inning. Not pleased with Greg Street's strike zone. And then came out moments ago to get behind the plate for his starter, Bryce Famil. The conversation continued between he and Street at some point.
Very impressive. I can't get over how calm and poised he is after getting rung up on a pitch like that. It shows you just how mature this young man is, and speaks very highly of his pedigree, because there's a lot of kids in an elimination game like this that would have lost their minds getting punched out on a pitch like that.
Here's Kramer Robertson. So what's the protocol? Because catching is different than any other defensive position. You don't want to carry your bat out to the field. I get that, but you also want to work the strike zone for your pitcher, maybe even more so than you want to work it for yourself.
Keep your head forward. You keep your head forward, you can say about whatever you want.
Robertson turns on this one.
Most of the time when home plate umpires get fired up is when a catcher will turn around or it's very obvious that there's a discussion going on. But there is a discussion going on in that LSU dugout, and there generally is after every inning. One time through the order now, Alan Dunn, Kaleb Gilbert, Michael Papierski going over that scouting report. Just to, a lot of times, second, third time around, you're going to switch it up a little bit based on what the other side has shown you for the last 3 innings. At this point, I don't think you switch up anything until you're forced to.
I think in some ways it might work in Rutschman's favor. There's nobody on. It wasn't a damage situation, so you wear it like a champ. You go back there and have a mature conversation with Greg Street, and maybe you get your guy a little extra room off the edge.
Well, as that conversation continued behind the plate before Rutschman got down to his crouch, Pat Casey came out of the Oregon State dugout, and he came all the way out to the grass, and I don't know if he was telling Rutschman to take it easy or if he just wanted to make sure that the conversation remained professional. Two and two now to Robertson. Kramer Robertson turned down the draft last season after his junior year at LSU to come back with his senior teammates to win a national championship. And he has reached base twice here today and trying to get his dugout fired up. He's not happy with his hair, guys.
He's not.
He said this is supposed to be, you know, normally a week-long process that we rush through in about 3 hours, and it's stringy, it's stiff, it's nasty, but I don't have any choice. He hasn't gotten his hair cut since before the first game of the season and then bleached it blonde a couple of days ago. Icer at the lefty getting loose behind Famil. The challenge for Kramer now from the hair perspective, he goes, I want to change it now. I want to go back to black if we're able to win. But how do you change it if you win?
You don't.
Cut it.
That ain't happened.
That's the question. How do you change it? You cut it.
I presented the same offer. Freeman tried to bunt his way on in the first inning. That was snared by Rutschman.
I think with Freeman, if he's going to bunt, and it's the same thing in the first inning, if he's going to bunt in this situation, show late, take a chance, try to put it down a line, not as early as he showed. Brettler's 60 feet away from home plate by the time the ball gets there.
I mean, the man can hit a ground ball whenever he wants. So I think if you're wanting to make sure you advance the runner, it's a real easy hit and run opportunity that might end up in a first and third situation. Deep as the left fielder Jack Anderson's playing, if Freeman shoots one in the 6-hole on a hit and run situation, Robertson will run right in his face and go first to third.
9 stolen bases on the season for Robertson and 12 tries.
This is I said it the first time, I'll say it again, it's a very comfortable guy to hit and run as a hitter. The last thing you want as a hitter is a guy who has swing and miss stuff in a hit and run situation.
Runner goes, ground ball to short, no play at second, and that saves him from hitting into a double play.
They had it. They had it. I mean, they took a chance earlier when Madrigal fielded it, quick flip to Grignr, and they turned a double play, and I think they could have done the exact same thing right here, Berkey. In fact, it looked like they might have had a little bit more time than they did the earlier one.
And this is where you communicate, because you know it's a hit and run situation. Hey, bullet at me, I'm coming right at you. A rocket right at Grignr, and he just doesn't pull the trigger. Oh, and Madrigal's just begging for the baseball. Now, I don't know if you turn it on Freeman because of how fast he is, but at least the force out's still in order and you don't have a runner in scoring position.
Grignr Madrigal split time at short early this season before Madrigal found his home at second, would eventually be the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. Rally beach ball, perhaps, helped them against Florida State earlier this week. Antoine Duplantis pulls it right side off the glove of Madrigal. Kramer Robertson around third. He will score to make it 4-0 LSU. They didn't take care of the lead runner a moment ago, and it comes back to bite them.
Yep. You got to take chances. You're down 3-0. You got a chance to get the lead runner. You choose to bypass it, and the most clutch hitter in this LSU lineup drives in his 60th run of the season on just one home run, a breaking ball right down Broadway, ripped up the middle. Madrigal just unable to make that play. Antoine Duplantis continues to impress with his ability to drive in big runs.
It's similar to the ball he hit the first time up. Both times have been hit hard to the right side. The first time they turned the double play, they took the chance on. That time, Duplantis drives in the 4th LSU run of the day. And I would think that is it for Famil here.
Nate Yeskie is the Oregon State pitching coach. Brandon Eisert looks like he's ready to go. Bryce Famil has walked 2 and 2 1/3. Both have scored. What's the decision to be made?
I don't think that there is one. I think Nate Yeskie, when he went out right there, they knew what the decision was. Maybe just wanted to talk to Bryce Famil a little bit more. So they'll go to the freshman lefty as Eisert makes his way in from the Oregon State bullpen.
Might have wanted to talk with the home plate umpire, Greg Street, as well. Famil's done after 2 1/3. LSU leads 4-0 behind the play of their senior shortstop Kramer Robertson. A spark plug for this LSU team and a basket of emotion. Welcome back to ESPN's coverage of the NCAA College World Series presented by Capital One. Here's what our bracket looks like. Winner of this one moves on. Florida State and Fullerton have already been eliminated. Louisville and Texas A&M gone on the other side. TCU and Florida will decide it tonight after a TCU offensive outburst knocked off the Gators last night. College World Series debut for Brandon Eisert, the freshman from Beaverton, Oregon. Freshman All-American. Beavers haven't used much of their bullpen over the course of the postseason. They haven't needed it. 21st appearance, a 2.18 ERA.
You don't roll through the season with a 1.86 ERA as a club if you don't have depth, and Oregon State has plenty of that. I still thought we may see Rasmussen as the first guy up right here, though.
I don't disagree with you, but I thought it would be in more of a leverage situation. When it got 3-0, you're wondering, you know, when can your offense get you back in, especially if you want to limit Rasmussen's innings.
But to me, Rasmussen can go 5 innings, okay? So now potentially you bridge to the 7th or the 8th. You're in a leverage situation now because you're behind. So maybe not what the base paths are telling you, but more by what the scoreboard's telling you. And I just don't think you can let LSU get too far out ahead. Remember, Zach Hess is ready to go today. When you start getting later on in this ball game, you don't want to see Zach Hess trotting in from the bullpen if you're Oregon State.
Greg Dykman is 0 for 1 with a line out to center field. There's Hess with the Wild Thing haircut. He has been untouchable. Runner first to Duplantis, his 19 stolen bases. And Dykman punched out. 2 down. Michael Papierski with the big swing today.
For this inning, 2 started, 2 outs, nobody on. Walk to Josh Smith, Bo Jordan double on the left field line, and Papierski with 1 swing gives LSU a 3-0 lead, 10th home run of the season for the switch hitting catcher. 3-1 fastball that was elevated, and he took it from there.
7 hits in this NCAA tournament for Papierski. Not bad for a guy who started switch hitting at 8 years old, but then gave it up late in the season last year. And he gets it from the left side here.
Come on.
I'm still blown away. I know it's early in the ball game, but just you can't make that mistake on 3-1 right there. You just can't. And the fact that they decided to pitch to him right there with first base open just blows me away.
Duplantis was going back, but it got so far away from Rutschman on the mix-up that he's able to get to second.
Yeah, Rutschman thought they were pitching out. That was the move, and I think he threw him a breaking ball.
It looked like a cutter at the least.
Yeah, something that was moving glove side. So watch Rutschman's first move. He's going to move all the way out.
Yeah.
It was either a slider or a cutter, and that was not exactly what Adley Rutschman was thinking when he moved all the way out there. You see his first move to go out. They think there's a chance that Duplantis is running. He is not until it gets past Rutschman. Now Duplantis standing at second base with 2 outs.
That could have very well been called a strike.
That one is hard to have miscommunication on when there's nobody standing at second base.
Just the 3rd pass ball of the season charged to the freshman catcher.
And that's a really tough pass ball. And I don't know what else you call it, but when you're looking for a 2-seam fastball and a pitch out, you get a cutter. That's not the easiest one to handle.
2-0 now to Zach Watson. Flew out to center field his first time up. .471 average here in Omaha at the College World Series. .3-0. Mike Rooney will chat with LSU head coach Paul Mainieri at the conclusion of this half inning. Marty Moose in the house. Two-out walk, and there's 2 aboard for Josh Smith.
Now that looked like pitching around a guy with a base open.
Which there. I have no problem with, because now you go left on left.
He didn't have any intention of challenging the strike zone right there against Watson. He is definitely more comfortable against the left-handed hitting Smith, but as red hot as he has been, you better execute right here. This game might be wide open here in a minute.
Smith homered yesterday. He drove in 2 in a 2-for-4 afternoon.
The game's moving pretty fast in Eisert's head right now, because we had a pitch out that it looked like he didn't see with nobody on second base, and then that time clearly he's not on the same page as Adley Rutschman. He goes out to have a discussion with him after the first pitch to Josh Smith.
1 strike, 2 outs. Hey.
Well, it's consistent. You know where it is. Outside part of the plate, the left-hander is about 4 or 5 inches off the plate. That's just kind of the way it's been the whole day. And honestly, at this point, if you're LSU, you don't say a word.
No.
You're up 4-0, and it's helped your guy more than it has their guy at this point. You just kind of roll with it.
Gilbert has struck out 5 through 3. Upstairs 1-2.
At this point, I think you just go 3 in a row. 4 seamers away. Set up 3-4 inches off that outside edge and force Josh Smith to try to discern ball and strike. Maybe a slider in there somewhere.
Big strikeout. Rutschman will give his pitcher a hug as they come off the field. Now they can provide some offense. It's a 4-0 LSU lead through 3 innings. We'll hear from Paul Mainieri in a moment.
Welcome back to Omaha with LSU skipper Paul Mainieri. And Paul, what are you seeing from your right-hander Kaleb Gilbert?
Boy, he's throwing a lot of strikes, Mike. You know, the umpire's got a nice pitcher zone, and he's taking advantage of it. He's hitting his spots, and he's getting ahead of a lot of guys. He hasn't really thrown his breaking ball that well, but he's thrown a couple of good changeups.
Your offense is rolling. What was the plan of attack seeing Famil for the second time this week?
I thought we would do better against him. You know, not take anything away from him, but the other night when we played him, there were terrible shadows in the early innings, and we just couldn't pick up the spin of his off-speed pitches. I think today, with the sunlight, we're seeing the ball a lot better.
Do you change anything facing their bullpen?
Well, that kid suck. You know, they brought him in against our left-handers, and he was a little sneaky fast. We're going to have to make an adjustment and start our swings a little bit earlier.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay, Mike.
All right, Runes, thanks. And he's dead right on Kaleb Gilbert. He's been pumping the strike zone. 44 pitches, 30 of them for strikes at 68%. And taking advantage of this pitcher-friendly strike zone from Greg Street. Stephen Kwan shows bunt and takes a strike. 0-1.
Yeah, that was well stated. Pitcher-friendly strike zone. Which is accurate.
Very accurate.
Those are the best kind.
Very accurate.
Kwan, one of the top hitters in the Pac-12 during the regular season. To short, Kramer Robertson. 1 down. All 10 that Kaleb Gilbert has faced have been retired. 5 of them be a strikeout. And here's Nick Madrigal now. Remember, Kwan gave his team the scouting report after his first at bat when he was called out on a pitch outside. No one's been able to solve it yet. Madrigal hitting the 2-hole for the first time this season against Yale in the regionals. And he swings at the first pitch here. Cole Freeman makes the catch behind Slaughter. Just one pitch to retire Madrigal, and as a Pac-12 Player of the Year, would you expect more patience at the plate in this scenario?
No, I don't want to get to 2 strikes off Kaleb Gilbert right now. The command of the outside corner is too good. They just had a hitters meeting between innings. I'm sure Pat Casey said, hey, look, the umpiring situation is what it is. We got to try to take it out of his hands and be more aggressive early.
He had one to hit there.
Yeah.
He just missed it.
Beavers have been retired 24 in a row over the last game and a half against LSU. And the pitch to Trevor Larnach just missed. 1-0. Okay, so if you're Kaleb Gilbert and you get a sense that they're going to be swinging early because they don't want to get to 2 strike counts, how do you take advantage of that?
I wouldn't change anything he's done so far. I mean, it's going to take 3 or 4 or 5 hits in 1 inning to really do any damage at this point on Gilbert. There's nothing wrong with pumping a first pitch fastball in there until they force you to do something else. That time the 1-0 changeup, Larnach couldn't recognize it, hand started, and got him back to even in the count. I like Gilbert's changeup, especially against these left-handers today.
And to be fair, Famil Gilbert's the one that's executed, right? The strike zone's similar. Gilbert is the one that's executed. I've been awfully impressed with him to this point in the ball game. He is completely in control of his emotions.
Trevor Larnach struck out in the first inning. The 1-2 to him here is fouled off. So I can sense the frustration coming from you from a hitter's perspective with this strike zone. When you're in the game, how do you control those emotions as a team? How do you clear it?
Well, I think Pat Casey tried to address it, and I think that's what you hope is your leadership, whether it be your captain player or your head coach or hitting coach. Somebody's got to rally troops and say, guys, we can sit here and feel sorry for ourselves, or we can go up there and try to take it into our own hands and be more aggressive early in the count. And it appears as though that's what they're choosing to do, which is really the only approach you can take at this point in time. Just too tough to hit with 2 strikes when you're not quite sure where the edge of the strike zone is.
So if you're a left-hander, are you pushing further onto the plate right now?
Toes on the white line.
Because he has not shown, he hasn't thrown, was he thrown 3 or 4 fastballs on the glove side the whole game? Everything, especially to the lefties, has been away, away, away.
You can see how far Larnach is now. You just can't cover it from there. There's no way. Not only can you not cover it, you won't pull the trigger. Your eyes won't allow you to swing when you're where he is in the batter's box from where we've seen the strike zone to be to this point in the ball game. And Larnach is choosing not to make an adjustment with his positioning in the batter's box. That's going to make it really tough to pull the trigger.
Full count to Larnach with 2 down. First base runner for Oregon State comes on a full count walk to Trevor Larnach on a pitch just off the plate away.
You can see that reaction by Larnach. Right, that's 3-2 pitch. I mean, it's either ball 4, strike 3 right there, and he's waiting just to make sure. Because he punched out looking on a pitch that was similar his first time up. That one was clearly off the plate.
Power threat KJ Harrison fouls the first one off.
And that's what we're talking about right there. That's an opportunity. A pitch right in the wheelhouse of KJ Harrison. He's just a little tardy. And that's what you're going to see, I think, as this game continues to play out, is Oregon State going up there and trying to be aggressive on the first good heater they see.
1 for 14 in this College World Series, but that one hit was a grand slam against LSU in the first game between these two.
To the left side, Robertson with range from his knees. He'll be late, and Oregon State's got 2 aboard on their first hit of the game. Two on for Oregon State. This week, it's an NL Central battle at Busch Stadium for Sunday Night Baseball. It's a series finale between the Pirates and the Cardinals. Our coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN with Baseball Tonight, Sunday Night Countdown, and it's also streaming live on the ESPN app. Jack Anderson at the plate for Oregon State with 2 on, and the first opportunity for the Beavers today against Kaleb Gilbert. To your point about being aggressive early, Oregon State today with 2 strikes is 0 for 6 with 5 strikeouts and a walk. Robertson at short. Goes the short way to Freeman, his senior classmate. That'll close any Oregon State threat in the 4th. No runs, a hit, and with a walk, 2 left on, middle of the 4th, 4-0 Tigers. What a beautiful day here in Omaha, Nebraska. It's a 4-0 lead for LSU. Only 1 hit allowed to Oregon State thus far as we move to the home half of the 4th inning. The first of 2 today to decide who's going to play for a national championship in the best of 3 championship series starting Monday. Florida will send Alex Fayette, got the win from Alex Fayette with 7 innings of 11 strikeout baseball, and Jared Janczak for TCU took the loss, 4 innings and 3 runs. They'll go head-to-head tonight, 8 o'clock on ESPN.
Yeah, it would not surprise me if Fayette was the same way that he was in the opener. It would surprise me if Janczak is the same way that he was in the opener between those two, because Jared Janczak doesn't walk anybody. He walked 5 that first game against Florida. I think that one will be a real pitcher's matchup.
So who has the advantage tonight?
Who has the advantage? I don't know that anybody does on the mound. An overall standpoint, maybe TCU just because they won last night, but I think that one's about as even as you can get it.
Did the way that thing play out surprise you last night?
What's that?
The way that game played out with TCU's offense doing so much late in the game?
Well, we've seen TCU's offense be really good. We just hadn't seen it be really good here before last night. No, I can't say that it told. What shocked me was after seeing how good Kawar was to the first 8 hitters of he looked like he was pitching in a Major League Baseball game, the first 8 hitters of the game. And then they got to him. They got him quickly. Ryan Merrill's 2-out single in the third, I don't think can be overlooked in the course of that entire ball game because that's when TCU's offense started going.
Florida won the first matchup between the two, 3-0. That was a 9-2 win for TCU yesterday, thanks to 10 hits. And a 4 spot in the 6th to turn things around. TCU's bullpen only allowed 3 hits and didn't allow a run.
3-2.
Full count now to Bo Jordan.
Charles King gets the gold star yesterday because he comes out of the bullpen and saves the balance of it. And what I like is both bullpens have their main guys ready to go today. I mean, it's a matchup at full strength really on both sides.
One down. That'll bring Michael Papierski up. 4-0 here with LSU in front of Oregon State. Michael Papierski saw a 3-1 fastball last time up with first base open, and Chris Burke seemed to disagree with that decision, put it mildly.
Well, I just think Papierski has shown you throughout this postseason that he's dangerous. And a freshman on deck, right-on-right matchup, it just seemed to make sense at that point in time that you would be careful with Papierski, especially with a guy that can pitch backwards on the bump and 2 outs. Now, having said that, I'm awfully impressed with LSU's lineup. They continue to get production at the bottom part of the order, and Papierski has just been an absolute dude this entire postseason.
And so far in this College World Series, they have home runs out of the 5, 6, 8, and 9 spots in their order.
Papierski 3 homers and 12 ribbies in the postseason.
Mom and Dad don't mind. Peggy on the left, Mike on the right.
Oh.
2-0.
And then for me, the other thing is Kaleb Gilbert. Regardless of the strike zone, he continues to execute pitches. He is feasted on that arm side fastball, and the changeup we saw last inning. There's a lot to be excited about if you're a Tiger fan with Kaleb Gilbert.
I've always liked his stuff. I think Gilbert has taken advantage of the strike zone. Strike zone's going to be what it is. He has taken better advantage of it than Oregon State has at this point.
He's been outstanding.
Dad Mike trying to record this one. Who knows? His son might homer for the 3rd time here in Omaha. He might indeed. Papierski sends this one deep to left. Dad's got it on the phone, and it's into the 2nd row.
Wow.
That might get texted to some family and friends.
Houston, you got a player, because that is a steal in the 9th round of the draft this year. Switch hitting catcher that is flashing all kinds of power at the back end of this season.
Fastball up in the zone again, and I thought he missed an opportunity on the previous pitch. He got himself even a better one right there, and he gets the bat head out and over the plate and launches another one. First from the left side, now from the right side. What a talented player, Michael Papierski, and you know the family loves this one.
How about that? How about that? Good timing, Pop.
Michael Papierski is the first player in the history of the College World Series at TD Ameritrade to homer twice in the same game. You have to go back to TCU's Brian Holiday at Rosenblatt in 2010. He hit 2 home runs in one game. That came against UCLA. Good thing he went back to switch hitting, huh?
Working out all right.
The only problem if you're dad, right, and you're filming it from the stands is it really limits the celebration.
It does.
We got both hands on the phone. You can't hug the wife, and now you got to spend time texting it out to everybody. Two down. He's got good form, though. We might sign him up to run camera for the rest of this World Series. Dad Mike and his mother Peggy.
Got some celebrating in, but he was still filming. Look at that. We're still working. Still working.
Focus.
Got to follow him. Got to follow him all the way around.
At this point, don't you go to the family? Don't you go to the crowd at that point?
That's A+ right there. That's good work.
Now you're directing?
Yeah, I'm thinking,
Yeah, exactly.
Don't you want a little sense of place?
Sense of place. Sense of stopping.
Sense of 5-0.
Got my terms in, boys. Starting to learn this business.
LSU's won 6 national championships. They've never won one at this ballpark. Here's Nate Yeski out. LSU will have to beat Oregon State twice to make it to Monday. They've already got 1 win in the books, and they've got a 5-0 lead here in the 4th. And Drew Rasmussen will finally enter this game. It comes with the Beavers down 5. Meanwhile, Michael Papierski has driven in 4 of the 5 for LSU, 1 from each side.
How about putting yourself in the record books for the Tigers? A homer from both sides of the plate. The first young man to do it at TD Ameritrade in the College World Series. The family loves it. The Tigers love it. It's all LSU right now.
LSU hanging loose thanks to a 5-0 lead. A couple of home runs up the bat of Michael Papierski. And the reward for that is they get Drew Rasmussen out of the bullpen for Oregon State. Rasmussen coming off of Tommy John surgery, made 6 starts last year. This will be his 8th appearance this year. The ERA is minuscule, .79. First round pick of the Rays. He has struck out 24 and walked only 5. And the first pitch is lifted to left field from Kramer Robertson. He has a 2-hit day going. Your thoughts on Drew Rasmussen entering the game after Oregon State got behind 5-0?
Well, it's real stuff, and this is a guy that can slow down a really potent LSU offense. I'm just surprised he wasn't the first guy coming in. When you're already down 3-0 and you go to the bullpen, it feels like probably time to go to your best guy. And Rasmussen is absolutely the best guy. Remember the decision to start this game. As of yesterday, Drew Rasmussen was starting. In fact, when we came to the ballpark today, we thought Rasmussen was starting. They flipped it up to see if Bryce Famil could get him 3 or 4 innings. He couldn't. And now Rasmussen comes in, but Oregon State's already down 5-0. And this LSU offense shows no signs of slowing down.
Cole Freeman shows bunt for the 2nd time, and he's down in the count 0. And what we've seen, we'll call it a mistake because we can do so in hindsight, but we've seen this decision made multiple times over the course of this College World Series, that the balancing act in playing for 1 win versus playing to protect your pitching staff for games down the road. It did not work for Texas A&M, for example, in their elimination.
Correct. And there's a lot of heat on these head coaches trying to figure out what the best formula is, because the setup of the format here is just different than what you see all year long.
And we saw it from Kevin O'Sullivan in Florida last year, right?
Yeah.
Late in the tournament. And the question is, in this regard, are you a team that's good enough to play for a national championship? And Oregon State absolutely is. They're the favorites coming into this thing. So you're playing to advance in Omaha, or are you playing to win the whole thing?
Yeah, gotcha. Out.
Freeman thrown out by Caden Grignr. We've got 4 innings in the books. It's a 5-0 Tiger lead. Beavers with just 1 hit against Kaleb Gilbert thus far. It's a 5-0 lead for LSU.
And it's all Tigers so far. 5-0. The offense has showed up, and so has the right arm of Kaleb Gilbert. 5 strikeouts the first time through the order. All 5 on called fastballs to left-handed hitters. And you could see early for Kaleb Gilbert, realized that there was going to be room on the outside part of the plate. Some on the outside black, some a little bit generous, but all of them thrown in the exact right spot based on what Greg Street had shown you behind home plate. I think Kaleb Gilbert has been phenomenal so far of adjusting to what the strike zone is. And if nobody forces you to change, just keep pounding it out there. 4 innings, giving up just 1 hit. He's been in total control so far. And watch where Malone is on the plate here. He has made an adjustment. That left toe is right on the chalk line.
Malone doubled yesterday. It was his first extra base hit of the season. Freshman from Roseville, California. And Gilbert misses low and in. Tyler's dad, Todd, was a 4th-round pick in the Yankees back in 1988. He's at the game today. Chopped off the plate. Cole Freeman handles the hop. Hold the first baseman off the bag, but Jake Slaughter is able to get the tag behind him and retire Malone. It'll be TCU in Florida tonight. For more coverage of the College World Series, including interactive bracket and highlights, go to ncaa.com. Pac-12 Player of the Year Nick Madrigal in Oregon State with only 1 hit today against LSU starter Kaleb Gilbert. Here's Michael Brettler.
Like that one now. Glove side fastball there for Kaleb Gilbert with a little bit of cut. So he's 2-seamed it on the arm side, running away from the left-handers. That one had just a little bit of cut to Brettler. That has set up everything today for Gilbert. The control of the fastball has been outstanding.
Mike Rooney, what are you hearing about the strike zone?
I would just say this, guys. It's if you're Paul Maneri, you are loving this situation because Zach Hess is a guy that sprays the ball around at times, and you're loving the idea of a big lead and Hess coming to pitch to that strike zone.
The other guy that we potentially could see if this thing gets closer, don't be surprised if Jared Poche comes in for an inning. This would be his bullpen day. Obviously, you would prefer to not have to use him if possible if you're LSU, but he is not out of the question, that's for sure.
This was Zach Hess getting it done yesterday, talking with coaches after the game. Jim Schlossnagle, Kevin O'Sullivan, they're like, this guy's ready for the big leagues right now.
Yeah, that stuff plays immediately. I mean, he could have walked right into a major league bullpen yesterday and nobody would have blinked an eye. Zach Hess, who until 6 days ago wasn't the closer, he's your closer now. 3 innings, 8 strikeouts, he's walked 3, and he has 3 saves. That's pretty much the definition of a closer.
It's an LSU College World Series record, and that's a pretty good sign. Anytime you can put your name in the LSU record book here in Omaha. Josh Smith behind the mound. 1-2-3 frame worked by Gilbert. Middle of the 5th, all LSU. We'll get Pat Casey's thoughts, the Oregon State head coach. We'll chat with Mike Rooney right after this.
Welcome back to Omaha with Oregon State head coach Pat Casey. In Case, pitcher-friendly zone today. What have you said to your hitters as far as adjusting to that?
Well, you know, they got frustrated early and they let it get to them. You know, you can't control that. You know, I wish we could, but we can't. They got frustrated early. started, I think, getting out of what we need to do. We can't do anything offensively right now, and we got behind hitters on some pitches we felt like we're okay and give up a big fly. So, you know, until you can get the leadoff guy on, pretty tough to do anything.
What do you need from your hitters as far as getting to Kaleb Gilbert?
You know, they got to find a better pitch to hit. They got to get competitive. And like I said, you know, they're starting to chase now because they feel like the zone's big, and so you know, maybe they're getting out of their zone limit that we need. And you know, we haven't been able to do anything. He's been good. He's beating us with a fastball. You know, he can't even command his breaking ball right now, but he's beating us with a fastball. I give him a lot of credit.
Thanks, Case.
All right, Runes.
All right, Mike Rooney, thank you. And Pat Casey's right. You can't get anything going without the leadoff man on. And they haven't had the leadoff man in 14 innings against LSU. We've got a beach ball delay. First of the day.
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. You don't get the leadoff man on, he can't do as much offensively as he wants to, and LSU's done a great job of controlling that.
Stephen Kwan will take care of business. You can't win. If you throw the beach ball back into the stands, it's just going to end up back on the field.
He gave him a chance. I mean, he put it in a place where they could make a play out there. They just didn't make a play. If you make a play, you lose it. Straightforward.
Antoine Duplantis, sophomore from Lafayette, Louisiana. His dad, Greg, was an All-American pole vaulter at LSU. His mom was a heptathlete and played volleyball at LSU. Little tapper back to Rasmussen. One down. From TD Ameritrade, Omaha, Nebraska. Winner advances to the College World Series Championship Series starting Monday night against either TCU or Florida. Tom Hart alongside Chris Burke and Kyle Peterson with Mike Rooney down on the field. A great day for baseball. LSU with a 5-0 lead thanks in large part to a pair of home runs from Michael Papierski.
Come out.
Good combo right there. Mid-90s, good changeup for Rasmussen. That's what he got Duplantis to hit the little chopper back to him on.
Oh, no, good. Here you go.
97.
97. After an 87-mile-an-hour changeup, showing you the stuff that got him picked in the first round by the Rays. And how about the Rays getting Brendan McKay and Drew Rasmussen in this year's draft?
Wow. There's a rotation for you in 2 years. Dykeman goes down swinging. Oregon State showed up in Omaha without its best pitcher. Luke Heimlich, the Pac-12 Pitcher of the Year, was recently identified as a registered sex offender. He released a statement announcing he would not accompany the team to Omaha. In 2012, Heimlich, who was in 15, admitted to sexually molesting a 6-year-old girl. He removed himself from super regional competition after the Oregonian newspaper published information about his past and then went unselected in the MLB draft, despite being a top 100 prospect. Heimlich has said he hopes to return to Pat Casey's team next year. Still the #1 pitching staff in the entire country with an ERA of 1.86. Ball and a strike to Zach Watson. What a postseason for Watson.
Yeah, we're seeing signs from Watson. He's a draft eligible sophomore next year too, but this is a kid that has really come into his own last 2 months, 2.5 months. Remember, Zach Watson wasn't playing center field every day at the beginning of this season. That change was made probably a third of the way in.
He wasn't even in the lineup for a while, and Paul Mainieri said, you're going to get a chance to play. Watson embraced it. In fact, he started coming to the plate with a walk-up music from Eminem's One Shot. He understood that in one start against Wichita State, the way Paul Mainieri judges players on his team, a lot of times you're going to get an opportunity, and if you fail, we're moving on to the next guy. Watson never left the lineup after that.
Talked to Nolan Cain before the game today for a long time about Watson. And he said, you know, when he came in the fall, the athletic ability clearly you could see. He's a supreme athlete. But we didn't see everything offensively. The strides that he has made from, call it, September 1st until now are extremely impressive. And it just seems like week by week the kid keeps getting better.
And he was pretty good in high school. Out of Ruston, Louisiana, shortstop and closer. 4-year starter, #1 prospect in the state. 3-time first-team All-State performer. Talked to him earlier this season when I found out that he was throwing 94, 95 from the mound as a closer. I said, you thought about maybe pulling Alan Dunn or Paul Mainieri aside and saying, why don't I get a chance? To give you an idea of how good the LSU bullpen is, he goes, there's no way I could throw with this staff. Watson flies out to right field. That'll close the 5th. Clock's ticking on Oregon State. Just one hit on the board against Kaleb Gilbert. It'll be Grignr, Quan, and Madrigal.
Living that sweet life, ain't got nothing but a good time. Lit up like a July Christmas tree. Sure sounds pretty damn good to me. Yeah, going crazy as we want till we get a little back porch gone. Doing it up and doing it right. Loving, living that sweet life.
Fantastic week here in Omaha. Must-win game for Oregon State and LSU to continue this season and work towards a national championship. LSU has 6 in their history. Oregon State has 2. Caden Grignr at the plate for the Beavers. 0 for 1 of the fly out to right. This will be the 70th pitch of the outing for Kaleb Gilbert.
He's held his stuff too.
Man.
And that was one question that I had as this ball game went on for Gilbert. The stuff is very good. The fastball's been up to 93, 94. Slider's been a little bit inconsistent. I've liked his change better than his slider today. But he has continued what LSU started yesterday and keeping leadoff men off base for Oregon State.
It was Lang and Hess who did it yesterday for LSU. All Gilbert thus far today. Longest outing of the season for Gilbert came in the Super Regional against Mississippi State. He followed an ineffective Jared Poche with 5 2/3 innings. And allowed 2 hits to Andy Canizaro's Bulldogs. Little jam job, and Robertson reaches on one hop. Nice play.
Now this is pretty right here. You don't have time to go 360, so you got to be able to throw on the run, and the ability to understand where the ball needs to come out of as you're running full speed towards the right center gap. A beautiful play by Kramer Robertson.
That Casey is all over Mark Winters.
This is about last night. This is not about tonight.
I heard him reference foul ball right there.
That was about yesterday. He looked out to me.
Yeah.
He's absolutely out. I just think it gave Pat Casey a chance to come out. He's out. That's undisputable after the replay, or after the replay. He's absolutely out. But it gave Pat Casey a chance to come out and vent a little bit.
Andy Peterson, the first base coach, started that argument a moment ago with Mark Winters. A lot of blame to go around yesterday with the controversial play in the 3rd inning off the bat of Stephen Quan. And here's Quan with the bases empty and one out. A play that changed the course of the game with LSU up 2-0 in the third. And the Beavers threatening against Alex Lang. A lot of attention on the left field corner yesterday, both in the early game and in the late game, where they reviewed a shot down the line as well. Playing him shallow, sliding stop Freeman, 2 down. This is how it went down in a 2-0 game in the third inning. Stephen Quan sends a shot deep into the left field corner, right on top of the line. The third base umpire had a look. Danny Collins calls it a foul ball from the jump. It was a reviewable play, but the NCAA and Danny Collins specifically did not review it. Blame to be shared by Pat Casey. He did not ask for a review in that situation. And it bears repeating, in the Pac-12, they do not have instant replay, although it is coming. The infamous corner.
That corner got a lot of attention last night. That one in the late game. You know that, especially with the way that this game is going, that play is going to be on Pat Casey's mind for a long time.
I was just blown away in general by all the different people that could have had a major objection, whether it be the hitter Quan or Grignr, who was on the base pass, who was quoted in the paper as saying that he thought it was fair, and nobody really put up a fight on the Oregon State side.
Andy Jenkins, the third base coach.
Yeah,
there
exactly.
was a lot that had looks at that.
I know for me, especially if I'm Grignr or Quan, and I got a pretty clean look at that, Quan almost missed first base watching that ball. And at some point, again, they don't know what's reviewable or not, but you know there is some form of replay. You'd think somebody would have at least asked the question if we can take another look at it.
Pac-12 Player of the Year Nick Madrigal chops one to short. Kramer Robertson will run it halfway. 1-2-3 inning again from Kaleb Gilbert. Baton Rouge North looks like it again. The purple, the gold, the beads, the stripes, and LSU with a 5-0 lead in the 6th inning in Omaha. Tigers leading Oregon State 5-0. Bottom of the 6th inning. Tom Hart, Chris Burke, Kyle Peterson, and Coach Mike Rooney down on the field. 3 spot in the second for LSU. Got it going. And Kaleb Gilbert has held the Beavers to just 1 hit. Oregon State hasn't lost consecutive games since last May. That's May of 2016. In danger of doing so for the first time since then if they can't find some offense here late in this game. Andrew Rasmussen misses with the first pitch low, 1-0 to Josh Smith. Foul territory. Rutschman to the on-deck circle. Makes it look easy. 1 down. And with 1 down, here's Bo Jordan. Rasmussen entered the 4th, allowed a leadoff single, allowed a single to the first man he faced. That was Kramer Robertson. He's retired 5 in a row since then. Redshirt sophomore from Spokane, Washington, out of Mount Spokane High School. While going through his rehab following Tommy John surgery, Rasmussen was routinely the first player to the ballpark. A great inspiration and leader to the kids behind him. Go back a couple of years as a freshman All-American against Washington State. He threw the only perfect game in Oregon State history. And they've been playing baseball there since 1907. One and two.
Stuff's pretty special. I mean, you see the ability to throw that cut slider on the outside edge.
Change up we've already seen. That's been plus.
Climb the ladder with that four-seamer right there.
Just wonder what this ball game looks like if Rasmussen started. I understand the move. When there was 3 on the board, I was surprised that Rasmussen didn't come in next.
Speaking of next, we'll have Michael Papierski up next. We've only had 3 players in College World Series history hit 3 home runs in a single game. J.D. Drew did it for Florida State against USC in '95. Edmund Muth of Stanford against Louisiana Lafayette in 2000.
Larish.
Yep, Jeff Larish did it against Nebraska in '05. By the way, just under that note in the record book is Chris Burke's name, the only inside the park home run in College World Series history.
Wait a second.
Yep, the only. Jordan yanks it deep to left on a line. That's gone. Gorilla ball is back for LSU.
Okay, now late on about 4 straight fastballs in '96, right above the belt. Bo Jordan just smoked that ball to left.
A ball at his neck here on 2 strikes. He gets him in swing mode.
Wow.
And the ability to get the barrel behind the baseball and cover it up at plus velocity above the strike zone. What an impressive swing by Bo Jordan, and you know he's fired up. Tommy, I told you I thought these Jordan brothers would win a championship, and they got looking pretty good that they're going to get a chance to play for one.
And now Papierski again. Home runs from both sides of the plate for Michael Papierski. His dad Mike has put the phone away from now on, for this point at least, after the fantastic camera work on his second home run of the day. Larish's 3 home runs went to left, center, and right. And Papierski goes down looking. But he looked pretty good his first 2 trips to the plate. Here's his dad, Mike, running the camera from the camera phone.
Now we get a little out of sorts here, because we're celebrating. The finger gets over the camera, but then he regroups.
Brought it back.
Yeah, he regroups and does a nice job of finishing the play.
How about the zoom?
Excellent job there by Mr. Papierski.
That is solid work now. Solid work. We went high 5 in the middle of it, too.
Multi-talented.
Jake Slaughter is 0 for 2. Home runs back, guys.
No kidding.
Isn't this great? It feels like the game is being played the way that it's supposed to be played. You get one, it should leave, and that's really what's happened this entire College World Series.
Snared by Rasmussen. That's the only run Rasmussen has allowed since entering this game in the 4th inning. Came off the bat of Bo Jordan, his 4th of the year. The Beavers only have 1 hit through 6 and try to solve that with Larnage, Harrison, and Anderson. Welcome back to ESPN's coverage of the NCAA College World Series presented by Capital One. Big day. TCU forced an elimination game with Florida thanks to 16 1/3 scoreless from their bullpen. Alex Lang with another 8 strikeout game, which is the second in the last 30 years to pull that off. And at 21 home runs, it's the most in the history of this ballpark during the College World Series.
Get a chance to see Mr. Lang again now. I would doubt he would throw before Game 3. I don't think he would throw in Game 2, but Alex Lang, who has had an incredible college career at LSU, might get a chance to be out there one more time.
Chop to the right side, Cole Freeman. One down, and the leadoff hitter retired again. Pretty
That'll
good
work.
starting pitcher.
14 innings, 3 hits allowed, punched out 13. For Kaleb Gilbert, it was the first time through the order. 5 of the first 9 that he faced struck out, all on fastballs, all looking.
8 outs remaining for Oregon State's offense to try to find something, and KJ Harrison looks at a first pitch strike. If you haven't been paying attention, Oregon State came into this event as the best team in college baseball. They had a 23-game win streak snapped yesterday against LSU. Best pitching staff in the country. Great team defensively. Harrison lines one to center. They didn't look like a team with any holes coming into this postseason. They haven't looked like a team with any holes all season.
No, and obviously the pitching got shortened. They lost their starting left fielder, Donahue, to a suspension, so they've definitely had some pieces missing. But you got to give LSU a lot of credit. The way they have performed both offensively and on the mound. And LSU is a team that many projected to be in this spot to start the year. It got a little sideways on them in the middle stretch, but they have been as good as anybody in the country the last 6 weeks. And besides that hiccup against Oregon State, the first time these two matched up, they have played awfully well.
LSU turned it around after a midweek loss to Tulane. They have now won 24 of their last 27, going into the Alabama series after their loss to the Green Wave. Kramer Robertson stood in front of the team bus, gave an impassioned speech about needing to improve his play, taking the brunt of the criticism that the offense hadn't been performing, and especially where he was at the top of the batting order. Talked to him about it that day, Berkey. We had them in that game that Thursday night at Alabama, and he said, quite simply, I'm the senior, I'm the leader. If I can take some heat from my teammates, especially the younger ones, that's fine. But in reality, I've got to be better. That's the bottom line. I have to be better. And that sent a message throughout the entire team. They ended up sweeping Alabama and going on a nice little run to close the season.
Yeah, you know, one of the things you hear from leaders throughout the years, especially athletes that are clubhouse guys, they'll stand up and they'll take the blame during losses, but they'll share the wins. And Kramer Robertson said, I'm not playing well enough. I've got to do better. He wasn't afraid to put the spotlight on himself, and since then, the Tigers have played awfully well.
It helps with pitching like this. Gilbert with another K. Linda Gilbert beside herself with joy. It's a 6-0 LSU lead. E60 features the New York Knicks' Kristaps Porzingis, who Jeremy Schaap said is the most famous Latvian in the world. Start your Sunday with a story. 9 a.m. Eastern on ESPN, also streaming live on the ESPN app. So Kramer Robertson leads off the 7th. You may know the story of the LSU seniors returning for another crack at a national championship. A couple years ago when LSU came here, Kramer Robertson didn't make the cut. He'd been injured over the course of the season, was working his way back. Paul Mainieri said, you're not going to be one of the 25 we take with us to Omaha. So on the drive back to Waco, he was devastated, depressed, tearful. Could barely make it all the way back. And he lines one to center field. After that experience, he thought about leaving LSU and giving up the game, but he said, I owe so much to so many people, and I don't want to let them down. Greg Dykman, Kramer Robertson, Cole Freeman, all kind of leaning on Jared Poche, waiting to hear from him. Daily texts among the group. And when Poche decided he was coming back, everybody else was all in. Not just to get to Omaha, but to win the whole thing. Kramer Robertson has 3 hits.
Yeah, he's broke out today. 3 hits and a walk. He scored in the 3rd. I think he's feeling all right.
So remember our chat yesterday as Freeman pops up a bunt again. I talked to Kramer around the cage today, Berkey, and I told him about your comments during the game yesterday. That you would rather pop up weakly than line out to left field and line out on a hard hit in this scenario. That would make you feel better.
Don't let me get hot is the message, and it looks like he is. And look, he's been swinging the bat much better than the numbers would indicate, as you were just referencing, Tom. A lot of lineouts in the first few games of this College World Series, but they're falling today.
Going to pop up the short, 2 down. So back to the story. This is discussion around the cage, and he agreed with you, and to the dismay of a lot of the other hitters, that he said, I've been in slumps before. I've been 1 for 18. I've been 1 for 25. This isn't a slump. I'm hitting the ball well. Mentally, it's more draining to go back to the dugout after a hard line out than it is after a mishit ball to the right side.
Yeah, I think there's a couple different types of slumps. One where you're just totally lost and you feel like you could flip the bat upside down. It would feel the same. You feel that bad up there. The other one's when you feel like the game is totally against you and you can't find a hole and there's 12 fielders out there.
That's the one he was in.
Yes.
That's the one he was. I mean, it was a bullet to the second baseman that's caught. Line drives to the left fielder that were caught. One hopper to the shortstop that's hit right at him.
You would look really silly if you went up there with the bat upside down.
There are times when the bat feels so bad you don't even know which side of it you're holding.
Yeah. Got 41 years of that.
Dykman pops it up.
But for me, at least at that point in time, you know, okay, I stink. Let me do something drastically different. But when you're hitting a bunch of bullets, you don't want to change, but it's like you feel like you should just for the sake of change, even though you're crushing balls. You're literally squaring 2 up a night, but the results don't show it. And so many times we can define ourselves by the results. And that's why any good hitting coach will tell you that all you can do is take a good swing at a good pitch, and you got to live with what happens from there. And if you're consistently hitting the ball hard, eventually it will, to a degree with which anything evens out in this game, it will even out. And today, 3 knocks. He's feeling a lot better about himself.
He's also a senior. And the freshman Josh Smith was standing there and was just dumbfounded that he would feel that way.
Right.
He didn't understand. Wouldn't you want to be in a groove even if you're hitting into outs? And I told Kramer, I said, well, you got back to the dugout and you were laughing. He goes, no, I was just trying to blow off the steam.
Didn't know how else to handle it. Yeah, absolutely. At some point, you're just like, what in the heck is going on around here? Because coach keeps telling me hit it hard, they'll find holes. And eventually, at some point, you're like, well, when is that day coming?
Dykman rolls one over. Madrigal takes care of it. Leadoff single wasted for LSU, but Kramer Robertson has a 3-for-3 day going, and his Tigers have a 6-0 lead through 7. Well hit, deep right field. Larnach back. It is gone. Papierski sends this one deep to left. Dad's got it on the phone, and it's into the second row. Wow.
How about that?
Still to come, the Florida Gators and the TCU Horned Frogs. Gators in the house, ready to go. Their leader, Mike Rivera, from behind the plate. And They need a win to make it to Monday. Florida reached the College World Series finals both times when starting 2-0. Knocked off TCU 3-0 on Sunday. TCU bounced back with a 9-2 win last night.
You mentioned the opener between those two teams, both in the starting role, and Florida and TCU in that spot. Alex Fayette was so good, and Jared Janczak was not. And we have not seen Janczak like that very often. I think he will be better tonight.
I cannot wait to see what the offenses do, especially TCU. What do they do from an adjustment standpoint against Alex Fayette? As good as he was in game one, you can't just go up there with the same plan. They're going to have to do something different, something to make him uncomfortable. If I was advising him, I'd try to get him up on the dish and make him feel claustrophobic.
I'd just steal his joke book.
He only got one out yesterday. He had a book full of them. He only got one out.
Tyler Malone strikes out. From the view of Greg Street.
See Papierski turn around, show him the baseball. That was the only question as to whether or not that got in the dirt or not. But Mike Papierski turns around and has it. 2 straight strikeouts for Kaleb Gilbert, 7 in the game.
Let's check in with Mike Rooney.
Guys, Omaha just makes heroes. LSU did not come here thinking Kaleb Gilbert was going to start a college baseball game. He was going to be a reliever, and now he's got a chance to be a hero here.
7 1/3 thus far, 7 Ks. This would have been Eric Walker's start. The fantastic freshman suffered through some pain in his forearm and elbow throwing in a simulated game last week in Baton Rouge. It reoccurred on him this week, and he's shut out for the season. Well hit left field, deep. Duplantis will watch it sail over his head, and it's a solo home run for Michael Brettler. Oregon State's on the board.
One of the very few mistakes we've seen from Gilbert, and Brettler makes him pay. He's been getting that arm side fastball down in the zone, off the edge all ball game, and finally the Beavers get a mistake and square one up on a beautiful swing right there by Michael Brettler. A fastball up in the zone, and similar to Bo Jordan, the ability to control the barrel and drive the bat head through the back of the baseball, and another ball that sails into the left field seats.
Palmineri out, and this will likely do it for Kaleb Gilbert. What an outing. Gilbert, the star of this one. His 5th start of the season comes in Omaha, and it's a doozy.
Kid that was expected to live out of the bullpen this entire College World Series. That might be the most important start LSU's had all year.
Lang, the first one to greet him. When Alex Lang and Jared Pocher are telling you you did a good job, you did a good job. Even C3PO approves.
Who?
C3PO, hanging out in the dugout. It's on the swing. Whatever it takes.
I got a feeling he's going to show up on Monday, too.
Jordan Romero made the swing for C3PO. Looks awfully comfortable. No comfort in the Oregon State dugout.
No, and as good as Kaleb Gilbert was, it gets even more uncomfortable now with Zach Hess on the mound, as the book is closed on Kaleb Gilbert on a really legendary performance by him, and now he'll hand the ball off to a freshman who has become a legend this week, Tom. The stuff out of the bullpen has been electric, as he has shut down nearly every hitter he has faced. And it is swing and miss stuff, and it is a knee-buckling breaking ball.
Hess threw 23 pitches out of the bullpen yesterday. The 6'6 freshman from Forest, Virginia, had originally committed to Virginia Tech. He's got 4 saves, an ERA of 2.70, and 80 strikeouts in just 56 2/3 innings pitched. He struck out the first 3 batters he faced yesterday.
It's pretty straightforward. I mean, he comes in throwing 96, and the ball has a little bit of cut. When he decided to throw a slider, he threw one so good Papierski couldn't catch it. He's one of the best defensive catchers in the entire country. For Zach Hess, when you get to the end of the ball game right now for LSU, the ball will be in his hand, on to try to get the final 5 outs and send LSU on to the College World Series Finals.
He's already set an LSU College World Series record. We've got a Carl Hess sighting. Longtime college basketball official, has worked numerous Final Fours. In the LSU visor right in the middle of your shot. Hess made the full-time move to the bullpen 20 appearances ago. He's 4-1 since then. And he has dominated. Dad's worked some pretty big-time basketball games. He doesn't look unnerved by this, and neither does his son, who's a self-described adrenaline junkie. Into center field. 1 down. Or pardon me, 2 down. Zach's dad's profession is one of the reasons he's in an LSU uniform and not Virginia Tech. He was a longtime ACC official, primarily in the college basketball world, but they decided not to bring him back a couple years ago. So Carl Hess reached out to Rod Delmonico, the longtime Tennessee coach, and said, my son's recruitment is open once again. Could you recommend a couple schools he might be a fit for in the SEC? Delmonico said, well, Florida and LSU do a pretty good job getting guys to the big leagues. You never know what's going to influence recruiting.
This is what a major league bullpen arm looks like. 92-mile-an-hour cutter just a minute ago. 94-mile-an-hour backdoor cutter. First pitch that he came in and threw. When it's right, it's just about unhittable.
That's a good look right there, what it feels like to be Caden Grignr. And trying to deal with the cut fastball as a right-handed hitter, just really tough to get the barrel to it.
I don't know if the Wild Thing haircut fits anybody as well as it does Zach Hess.
You know what that says too? And remember, this kid wasn't a closer a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. He's ready for the role. You don't do that when you're a freshman unless mentally you're ready to be in this spot. The stuff obviously is plenty, but the mentality fits the role too.
To the slider, strike 3 swinging. Sick. The pitching for LSU has been just about perfect today.
Kaleb Gilbert faced 3 over the minimum, gives way to Mr. Hess. 2 faced, 1 strikeout, 3 outs. And LSU is in a College World Series Finals.
Welcome back to ESPN's coverage of the NCAA College World Series presented by Capital One. A bunch of stars shining brightly for LSU today, including Kaleb Gilbert. He's our Capital One player of the game. 97 pitches and allowed just 2 hits.
3 over the minimum for Kaleb Gilbert. Before the game, Paul Mainieri said if he gets us through 5, I'll be really happy. Figuring out ways that they can get to Zach Hess at the back end of the bullpen. Well, it became a 2-man show at this point. Gilbert for 7 1/3. Hess has 2 outs, 3 more to go.
Zach Watson pops up to right. Trevor Larnach handles it, 1 down.
Well, first time through the order, Kaleb Gilbert just living on a 2-seam fastball. Faced 5 lefties the first time through. He struck them all out, all on fastballs, all called. The next strikeout didn't come until the 7th inning, but that was Jack Anderson for the second time. Another fastball looking. 7 strikeouts on the day. Everybody that he struck out was left-handed, but just seemed in control from the first pitch of the ballgame.
This is Josh Smith, freshman third baseman. Would you give Michael Papierski consideration to be your player of the game?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty special day when you go deep from both sides of the plate. The first player ever at TD Ameritrade to hit 2 homers in a game, and somebody outshines you. That just tells you what kind of ball game this has been for the Tigers. But Gilbert's certainly deserving of that honor. He was outstanding this afternoon.
To Madrigal. 2 down. This week, it's an NL Central battle at Busch Stadium for Sunday Night Baseball. It's a series finale between the Pirates and the Cardinals. Our coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN with Baseball Tonight Sunday Night Countdown, and it's also streaming live on the ESPN app. LSU fans to their feet. By the way, I'm told the Moose is not Marty Moose.
Okay.
It's Fred Moose.
It's good. I was concerned.
Glad we took care of that.
Clarified that.
We'd like to be as factual as possible. That's a warm face. You've got the beard already, and then the Moose sign. Bo Jordan sends this shot to center. 6 straight retired now by Rasmussen. We go to the 9th. Oregon State needs 5 runs to extend its season. They'll lean on their stars, Stephen Kwan, Nick Madrigal, and Trevor Larnach. (6-1) LSU leads Oregon State, the #1 team in the country. It's been held to just 2 hits in back-to-back games by LSU's pitching staff. Season low 2 hits both times. Now the Beavers will try to gather themselves. They've only lost 5 times this season, and they haven't suffered back-to-back losses since May 10th and 13th of 2016. They have been a very good come-from-behind team, however. 7 times they've trailed after 8 innings, and they've won 3 of those games. Challenge is trying to figure out Zach Hess. Stephen Kwan is 0 for 3 today. Sophomore from Fremont, California, looks at the first pitch away. One of the rare times he didn't show bunt on the first pitch. Pat Casey owns a pair of national championships and the #1 team in the country for most of the season. Now 3 outs from elimination.
Velo's not quite the same today, KP. We saw him up to 97 yesterday. Just seen 1 at 94 and a bunch of 91, 92s so far.
He's gone bounce back to back 4 times this year, and Kwan's going to lead off the 9th here with a single to right. The other 3 times that he went back-to-back days, day 2 was a scoreless outing.
Well, this is who you want at the plate. If you're Oregon State, you need to get something cooking. A runner on for the Pac-12 Player of the Year, Nick Madrigal, hitting .333 here in Omaha. And Hess spikes that one. Madrigal led the Pac-12 in hitting. Led him in stolen bases, 5th in slugging, 5th in runs, 3rd in doubles.
And there is action in that LSU bullpen. Jared Poche, the left-hander, Hunter Newman, the right-hander, both up and ready. Well, it's not Poche.
Oh, Nick Bush.
That is not Poche. Nick Bush, the left-hander, up and throwing.
Larnick is the lefty on deck. Poche on the right side watching.
The thought was if they needed Poche today, they would use him for as much as 1 inning.
Two and 0 to Madrigal.
Really getting the side of that fastball, KP. That cutter is almost looking like a 90-mile-an-hour slider right now. It's got a lot of horizontal movement to it. And the velo 90 miles an hour. I don't know if Hess is quite the same guy we saw yesterday.
Well, he was in the 8th. In the 8th, he did look the same. Been inconsistent so far here in the 9th.
That one gets all the way to the backstop on ball 4 to Madrigal. Quan will stop at second. So 2 on with nobody out. Does it bother you that he missed or how he missed?
It was missed 2, maybe 3, just like that too, where they're not even close.
Pitching coach Alan Dunn out.
If there were misses in the last inning, the misses were very close. We didn't see this yesterday, and we didn't see this in the 8th inning. Now, that can come back in a hurry, especially if somebody hits a one-hopper right at somebody and you turn a double play. At the right time for Alan Dunn to come out.
The arm looks a little, the slot looks a little low to me. Looks like he's getting on the side of it. And I tell you what, the last thing you want to do is start issuing 1 or 2 more free passes before you get him out of this ball game, because there's not a lot of swing and miss left in that LSU bullpen.
Two sides of the coin for the LSU bullpen here in the College World Series. Nobody out with 2 aboard for Trevor Larnick.
Take one here.
Not be swinging. You would not be swinging right here if you're Larnick.
Larnick's driven in a run in 14 consecutive games.
Looks like he's getting on the side of the baseball. You see just how much that ball is cut.
See the finish. You can absolutely see the finish. He was getting on the side of it.
How easy is that to change in the middle of a game?
It's today, Saturday. It's easy to change tomorrow, but right now it's not easy to change pitch to pitch, especially for a kid that just has not been in this situation all that often.
Quan and Madrigal aboard, behind in the count, 2-0 to Larnick. And he gets 92 across for a strike.
And as much movement as there is on the baseball, if you're Larnick, you got to zone this ball middle up and middle away and really try to keyhole him right here. The last thing you want to do is get out of the zone.
3-0, wow. The strike zone again.
And it just can't happen at this point in the ball game.
Not now.
That was ball 3. Now Larnick has to defend. Can't defend that. Not when it's 6 inches off.
You pitch to the zone that you're presented, and ultimately that's what Hess is doing right here. He got bailed out with a 2-1 pitch, then came back and threw almost the exact same one. That one's closer. That one was not far out as the 2-1 right there. That's a pitch that you will see called a strike a fair amount. But Pat Casey on his way out right now, you can understand why. This frustration started early. It's been consistent on both sides. I mean, it hasn't been inconsistently favoring one side or another, but it has been wide from the first pitch of the ballgame.
But from an Oregon State perspective, while the strike zone has been similar, because of Gilbert's accuracy, Oregon State has been the victim more often than not. But
right, you either take advantage of it or you don't. And LSU has taken much better advantage of it on the mound than Oregon State did.
And I like the move by Pat Casey right there. You have to put your feet in the ground, as Larnach's going to get his money's worth on the way out. But if you're Pat Casey, you can't let that go any further. You got to let him know that you're not happy about the zone. You only have 2 outs left.
KJ Harrison has hit a grand slam here in the College World Series, and he swings at the first. Room in foul territory. Slaughter. 2 down.
And I want to know why. I know KJ Harrison's one of the best hitters in the College World Series, but with a young man who looks like he's fatigued and struggling to find the strike zone, you can't hit a 5-run homer right there. A walk is even better than a 3-run homer right there, honestly, because you just keep the pressure on. And Harrison gets a little over anxious, and now LSU just 1 out away.
Jack Anderson for Oregon State. 1-0. Beavers are 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position over the last 2 games against LSU. 0 for 3 today. Back up the middle. Freeman kicks the bag to finish it. And LSU's going back to the College World Series Finals. Tigers have won 25 of their last 28, and so ends one of the best regular seasons in college baseball history on the Oregon State side.
Incredible season by Oregon State, and LSU answers the bell 2 days in a row. A cutter off the outside edge. Hess slows it down. Freeman does a nice job of making a play on a tough hop, and LSU has a chance to move into second place all time with 7 national championships as they advance.
Guys, the first time these 2 teams played, LSU got beat 13-1. They walked 12 hitters. They got 4 hits themselves. They got beat 13-1. They come out and beat Florida State and then answer the bell back-to-back nights against a team that has been more consistent over the course of the regular season than any we've seen in the last 25 years. LSU deserves and belongs in the finals.
The midseason turnaround is complete for the Tigers. They'll be looking for their 7th national championship starting Monday night in the College World Series Finals against an opponent to be determined, either TCU or Florida, who meet later tonight. A dream unrealized for Oregon State. They joined 1982 Texas as teams with great regular seasons to fall before winning a national title. Paul Mainieri has 1 national championship in his back pocket. That happened over at Rosenblatt. Been a while since LSU has returned to the top of the hill, and they'll have a chance to do just that here at TD Ameritrade. Mike Rooney is standing by with Paul Mainieri.
Thanks, Tom. Paul, what about the performance of Kaleb Gilbert?
Unbelievable. Really, Mike. I can't tell you, I went to sleep last night picturing that Kaleb Gilbert would give us 7 shutout innings into the 8th inning. Of course, I couldn't have told you I dreamt that Papierski would hit 2 home runs and Bo Jordan would as well. It was just a great performance by Kaleb Gilbert. The whole team played really well. And, you know, we're moving on. You know, we get to play for a championship. We're excited about that.
Michael Papierski's been a guy that got hot late in this season. What a moment for him. What were you thinking when you were watching him hitting those 2 home runs?
Oh, 2 moments, yes. Perhaps the greatest kid you'll ever want to meet. I mean, nobody works harder than him. In the first half of the season, he struggled with the bat, but he played great defense, very unselfishly. And then he kept working. Mikey Gibbs done a great job with him. And he ended up, that's his 11th home run, so it's not like this is something news to us. You know, we knew he had the potential to do it. That 3-run homer really got us going and gave us a lot of confidence that we could beat the unbeatable team.
You guys are headed to the CWS finals against one of a team. You've played both of these teams. What are the keys for your club going in there?
You know, Mike, I haven't thought much about who we're going to play yet. We're obviously very familiar with Florida. We played TCU one time, but whoever we're going to play, it's going to be a great series. Both those clubs are outstanding in every way.
Thanks, Paul.
All right, Mike, thanks.
There's something about programs and teams and athletes that expect to win. At LSU, they expect to win national titles.
They absolutely expect to win, and they also had 4 guys that came back for what starts on Monday. They didn't come back to get here. They came back to win a national championship. Kramer Robertson, Cole Freeman, Greg Dykman, and Jared Poche are 2 wins away from that.
Once again, our final, LSU 6, Oregon State 1. Tigers on to the College World Series Finals. TCU and Florida coming up tonight at 8 with Carl Ravitch, Eduardo Perez, Kyle Peterson, and Laura Rutledge to decide who will play against LSU for the chance to play for a national championship. Stay tuned next for SportsCenter, and tonight at 8 o'clock, it's Florida and TCU. What a fantastic week here in Omaha for LSU and their fans. It continues. The season ends for Oregon State. For Kyle Peterson, Chris Burke, Mike Rooney, and our sensational ESPN crew, I'm Tom Hart. Flip back at 8 o'clock for TCU and Florida. Good afternoon from Omaha. Coming up next, it's SportsCenter.